I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. The Other Guys is up next on Rediscovered Movies. Hello, welcome to a new episode of Rediscovered Movies. I'm your host, Nomfanelo Malloy. So today I'm joined by Khalif, who's a special guest on the pod. Welcome back, Khalif.
Hello,
It's
hello, Pod.
Yes, it's great to have you back here. So, this one will be an exciting one. So, we'll be talking about The Other Guys. The Other Guys is a 2010 action comedy film that is directed and co written by Adam McKay, who's known for films such as Anchorman and The Big Short. The film is co-written by Chris Henchy, who's known for Impractical Jokers, the movie. The film stars Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and Eva Mendes. So essentially, the movie is about two mismatched New York City detectives, played by Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. They seize an opportunity to step up like the city's top cops, whom they idolize, only things don't go quite as planned. So this film came out in theaters on August 6th, where it has made a worldwide total of 170.9 million against a $100 million budget. So it opened at number one with over 35.5 million. It beated films including its Inception and Step Up 3D. In terms of critical reception, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 78% critic score, where they say a cleverly parody of cop buddy action comedies. The Other Guys delivers several impressive action set pieces and lots of big laughs thanks to the assured comic chemistry between Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. The audience gave it 60%. It has a B minus cinema score. It won an award for Best Comedy Film at the Comedy Awards. It's nominated for 5 Teen Choice Awards, including Comedy Film. So at the time of this recording, it is streaming on Netflix and Hollywood Suite and is also available on demand, so check your local provider. All right, let's get into first discoveries. So, Khalif, do you want to start?
So, this film I saw way back in the day. I didn't realize it was 13 years ago. I saw it around the time it came out. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I definitely remember being younger when I watched it. So, like, a lot of the jokes totally flew over my head. But obviously, like, the bigger jokes stuck around and the bigger moments stuck around for sure. Like, I remember that Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson were in the movie, but I don't like rewatching it showed me that they were barely in it. So like those were the big things that stuck out to me when I first saw it and everything. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
funny, it was a good laughing time. I totally missed all like the financial stuff and all that everything, but yeah.
For sure. So for me, I actually saw this in theaters during opening weekend at the time because I remember seeing promos for this at the time on TV and in theaters, which piqued my interest. And also too, this came out right after Step Brothers and Anchorman, so people were really into Adam McKay at the time. And with this movie, I really enjoyed it. I would say for me, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I would say for me, it's one of my favorite or the best Adam McKay films. I've
Okay.
put The Big Short on par for me. Like I do enjoy Anchorman, but it's not something that I will like rewatch repeatedly, but it's still a good movie. And yeah, like as an action like comedy, it's pretty up there for me in terms of buddy cop movies because I have seen a fair share of those movies, and I say yeah, this movie works because of the leads and also too with the writing and all this stuff. And even though like some of the comedy is like hit and miss for me, like it's still a good time with this movie.
Yeah, I also didn't know that Adam McKay was responsible for The Big Short. So it's just really interesting that this guy loves money scandals. He's just really into financial fraud.
Yeah, for sure. Like we could get into the highlights right now. And yeah, just to go off that, like with Adam McKay, I feel like with this movie is sort of like the bridge between like what he has done with the past with Anchorman Step Brothers, and then what he's doing now, like with The Big Short, Vice, and Succession. So it's kind of interesting looking at it now, like given like how his career has ended up, but it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting for sure.
And it seems like he's worked with Will Ferrell a lot, so he just like knows to let Will Ferrell just fly and do like Will's brand of comedy. You know, like Will Ferrell does a lot of like this. I don't want to say the same stuff, but he does a lot of similar stuff where it's just him being him, and him being him is pretty funny on screen for sure.
Yeah, because I was a bit surprised. He kind of acts as the straight man for most of this movie because usually
Yeah,
in his previous stuff he always acts as like the big comedic relief. But
it
that
was
was an
interesting to see
interesting.
him with Mark Wahlberg and everything.
Yeah, for sure. And like for me, like my highlight was obviously them together, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and clearly they have chemistry with this movie, and they end up working together later with Daddy's Home 1 and 2. So, and I'm sure they'll work on more stuff together in the future. So,
Yeah, yeah. What an unlikely friendship that is.
yeah, for sure. Because like, yeah, you were mentioning, yeah, too, like this movie touches on like corporatism and all this stuff. Because I found that was interesting, especially as an action comedy movie. So at least like it didn't go like too deep into that compared to Adam McKay, what he has done with his later films. But yeah, like I thought that was like a nice balance, like with the themes and also too like with the entertainment value of this movie.
Yeah, I think I don't know the name of the actor, but the guy who played Earnshaw is just very good at what he does, like being the British guy and everything like that, and just the way he was so capitalistic and like so coy and gets everyone to trust him. I think he was really good in that role for sure. Very businessman like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that was Steve Coogan, I believe. Yeah, because I thought he did a great job as Urshan, and he always likes to bribe everyone, even though people
Very good.
don't fall for it. Like especially when he gives Terry and Alan like the Knicks tickets, and they're like, "Oh, this is a bribe," and then he gives them tickets to Jersey Boys, and then they enjoy the show. Like, "Oh, wait, this is a bribe." So
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Upon rediscovering the movie, I found a lot of highlights, not a lot of lowlights. Like I think I just generally had a good time. Like it was a lot of good jokes and stuff like that. All the side characters were all really, really strong comedians. Like I totally forgot that Damon Wayans Jr. was in the film. I love him.
Hmm.
Rob Riggle was hilarious. I love his stuff. Like some of my favorite jokes from the movie were from him. Like the scene where they were in the career day at school and they're about to leave, and Rob
Mm.
Riggle's like, "Hey, Mr. Guns, bring him up." It was just so funny. Oh my god, he's hilarious in so many things that he does.
Oh yeah, like I love the desk pop scene where him and Damon Wayans are trying to
Yes.
manipulate Alan into firing his gun at the office.
Oh.
I thought at first like, oh, maybe it's a real thing, but no, it turns out it's fake.
Oh my god, the bit that got me a lot too was Michael Keaton referencing TLC all the time, and then just going like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't get it. Like this, love the sweater. What's the reference there? I
Yeah.
don't understand." That's such a
Yeah,
good
like
bit that I do it like in
yeah.
real life. I love to just like reference a thing and then go, "I don't know what you're talking about." And maybe that's where
Yeah.
I got it from. I don't remember, but that could have been it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And I would say, yeah, with this movie, it has a strong supporting cast because you either like recognize like the actors right away, or you might like know them by face but just don't know the name to it. Like
Hmm.
I think for me, it's one of the strongest supporting casts like ever for me because like Eva Mendes, I enjoyed her as Ellen's wife, and they have a thing where like where Terry like is into her even though he's married to to Alan, which
Yeah,
is
that was so
hilarious.
funny. We were saying like, "Good night, Sheila. Sheila, I'll never forget you. Goodbye, Sheila."
And then when Alan says good night, he's like, "Oh yeah, whatever."
He just like responds to Sheila instead. Yeah, that was very good. Very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Also too, Ray Stevenson was great as Roger Wesley. I think he was like the bad guy in the movie. because I
Mhm.
enjoyed. There was a scene where he's in the police station where he confronts Terry. Oh, there's three things I love in this world: Kylie Minogue, dimples, and fear in a man's eyes when I'm about to hurt him.
Was a very good line. Very good line.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I do want to note that at the time of this recording, it was announced that he unfortunately passed away, and like, which is sad. And of course, like, R.I.P. to Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and side note, like, he was good in RRR, which I do recommend you guys check that, where he plays the main villain. So
I haven't seen that one. That one's on the list for sure, though.
for sure. And also too, like, you mentioned Michael Keaton, like, he did a great job with this movie. I think this was his first like prominent role in quite some time. Like, this was came out the same year as Toy Story 3, where he voiced Ken. But I thought, yeah, he did a great job as like the captain. And he had a thing where he says, "Oh, my son is bisexual."
He just kept on bringing that up, and like surprisingly
Yeah.
not in an offensive way. Like this was a movie from prior times, so I was like expecting the bisexuality to be like the butt of a joke, but it was just a thing about his son that he liked, you know. So good for the
Hmm.
movie on being progressive.
Yeah, for sure. And also too, I want to note that like Ice-T, he voices the narrator in
That
this
was him,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, like, which was a surprise when I first saw it like in the theater. So I'm like, oh wait, oh, he's in this movie. And I felt like it was kind of like a nod to because he's obviously in Law and Order SVU,
Hmm.
and also to like you add his persona, and also to like, it's New York City, so I felt that was a good choice on their part.
There were so many other like random celebrities that were in it. Like Brooke Shields was in there for a second. Ben Schwartz like played a little bit of a character. You know, like it's wild. It's just
Hmm.
uh, it feels almost like the way I felt while watching Scott Pilgrim, where I'm like, I can't believe all these actors before they got really really big were in this movie together. You know, like how did you manage to get this cast?
Yeah, for sure. And also too, Bobby Cannavale is in this movie where he plays Jimmy. Because if you remember, he's in the desk pop scene, and like he's
Hmm.
he's mostly in the background.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was great too.
he was really funny. That scene where they were all sharing about like their times where they were firing their weapon and everything.
Yeah, and it was hilarious that apparently Terry he shot Derek Jeter.
I totally forgot about that bit. But yeah, like, oh my god. Just another thing in this movie that's like, I can't believe that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. One of them was saying, "Oh, you should have shot A-Rod."
True. True. Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. And like also too, like, another highlight of this movie is New York City. I mean, I've never been to New York City. I've only seen New York City through various movies, so that was like fun to see in terms of locations.
I do like the fact that they drove a car into the Trump Tower and really, really messed it up. So good on the movie for having that in the opening sequence. Just blow
Yeah.
up a car in the Trump Tower. Good on you.
Oh yeah, especially looking at it now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because that was a fun like opening credit sequence with Sam Jackson and Dwayne Johnson like trying to chase the bad guys. And I thought like too was kind of cool that essentially if they're characters, they're essentially wearing sunglasses for the majority of their extended cameos. So that
Yeah.
was interesting. But I guess to show that they're like the tough guys, are like the it cops, I
Oh,
suppose.
yeah.
But
Very cool guys. Very, very cool guys. For sure.
yeah, for sure. And I thought like when Sam Jackson like insults Will Ferrell at the police station was hilarious.
He told him he'd shove his hand up his ass and make it move like a puppet. Yeah, that was good.
Yep. Yep.
Very, very good.
For sure. Also too, like the fact they have a wooden gun is
Like once again,
hilarious.
really solid bit. And like the other part where after he got it back, Michael Keaton was like, "It looks like somebody polished it off and put a nice varnish on it. Like you should really send him a thank you for that. It smells like pine." Like really funny, really good writing.
Yeah, because I wonder, is there actually such thing as a wooden gun that they would give to police officers that cannot use a weapon? Like, I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wonder.
that's funny.
Yeah, and I thought too it was hilarious that where with Will Ferrell, like he's given a whistle, and it's hilarious that he uses it after when Beeman commits suicide.
God, there's so many great bits in this movie. It was honestly wild to like rewatch it and see how much I just went over my head. You know, what a quality movie for
Hmm.
2010.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I also too love Terry's insults. Because, for example, like when we see Terry and Alan together at the office, where Mark Wahlberg's like, "Oh, I don't like you. I think you're a fake cop. The sound of your piss hitting urinal sounds feminine. Like, oh, if I were a shark and you're a tuna, I would swim out of the ocean and eat you, and then I'll bang your tuna girlfriend." That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good scene. There was a lot of that
Hmm.
too. There was like a
Yeah,
lot of
for sure.
like just I don't know, weird comments about things like that. Like the way that they kept on calling the Prius car like just a vagina and everything. It was just I was like, okay, I get it. It's 2010, but like come on.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, are Prius cars that bad? Like how they're describing it,
Yeah,
or
like do you really need to be driving a giant truck to feel like a man? Like it's an affordable car that has great gas mileage. Let it be. It's good for the environment. Like
exactly, exactly, and
uh,
also too, of Terry, he also pokes fun at Alan's music choices. I mean, they do sound like elevator music or music you would hear like while you're shopping, like as Terry describes it.
yeah, yeah. He said, "Sounds like you're going to shop for a training bra right now."
Yeah, yeah.
Good God.
For sure. And also too, like with Terry, like when we see shots of his laptop in the office, it was quite hilarious. I think like the first time like we see him playing solitaire, and then there's another shot where we see like the shark leaping out of the ocean to eat the tuna.
That's a good one.
Was great. Yeah, for sure.
I loved the fact that like Will Ferrell's like financial know-how like is the one that got them to everything and everything. Like they were looking after scaffolding permits first of all to get the
Yeah.
guy, and like that was the dead ringer and everything. And they had like
Mm-hmm.
the good Bernie Madoff shout outs and the Enron shout outs in there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then the big twist at the end was how the guy was going after the police union money, and like that's the big problem that they're
Yeah.
coming for. Ugh.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Like I kind of wondered like why go after the NYPD, but I guess it doesn't matter like as long as they find someone to cover their losses, but
Yeah, yeah. That's how it be in capitalism. Anybody but me. You know, it's like the Ponzi scheme infographic at the end. You know.
mhm, mhm. For sure. Like yeah, there was quite some interesting fun facts like if you guys pay attention to the end credits scene with all those facts. So, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I found that really informative actually, and like it kept me. I think more movies should do end credit like stuff. You know. And not just have like a scroll of credits. Like it was very interesting to see information along with the credits because it helps you stick around. I typically don't stick around for movie credits unless there's like a really good song in there somewhere. But this one,
Yeah.
I just like watched the credits the whole way through. Not for the end credit scene or the post credit scene though, but I stuck around for the credits.
Yeah, because I think the post-credit scene, like, essentially it's just Terry and Alan at the restaurant. I think it's similar to the scene of them at the restaurant. I forgot at what point, but essentially it's that. But it seems like it's an alternative take to me, so you don't really miss out on that. But if you want to watch it, good for you.
It's probably on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
I
Eh,
found the
eh,
scene. Sorry.
okay, go ahead.
I found the scene when they were doing the whole drinking montage really interesting. Like I like that change of like
Yeah.
style and everything. That was a good
Yeah,
choice.
because it looks like a tableau of going back to my theater terms of moments like with them like doing various stuff at the bar, such as like firing the gun, or with one of them like peeing at the bar, like doing all these wacky stuff was cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
For sure. And I liked that moment when Alan, like when they're at the car, he gives Terry this terrible mug that says FBI female body inspector.
That was a good bit. Yeah. It was a good
Yeah,
bit because it was just Will Ferrell being Will Ferrell funny, you know? Like he was like over explaining the joke and
yeah.
saying why he thought it was funny, which was why it was funny. It was just all so good.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also too, like when they are integrating Urshan, they decide to do the whole bad cop when it's supposed to be like the bad cop good cop. And it's hilarious that with Will Ferrell, he goes like over the top and he's like screaming at Urshan, look like he's going cuckoo here. So I
That
thought that
scene
was
was funny.
entertaining.
The
Yeah,
funnier part for me was after the scene when they were talking about it.
yeah,
And Mark Wahlberg's character was like, "We were supposed to do bad cop, good cop," and then Will Ferrell's like, "That's it. I heard bad cop, bad cop. That's why I went wrong."
yeah, yeah.
Like that joke there was like funnier than the scene. It was what.
Oh yeah, for
Uh,
sure, for sure. That one was cool. And also too, I liked with the action scenes, like particularly I liked the shootout where they're at the office building to stop the meeting, like was pretty cool.
yeah. Like he was like
Yeah.
sliding on his back, shooting people on both sides and everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like it's wild that like anything can happen just at the office these days, but
Another scene that I
that's
found
cool.
interesting, sorry,
Go ahead,
was
yeah.
the funeral scene where they were still like fighting in the middle of the funeral and like they were all whispering.
Oh
They were like,
yeah.
"Get off each other! Stop fighting right now! This is a funeral!" They're like,
Yeah,
"You
yeah.
got him! You got him! I won the fight!" It was just,
For
oh
sure,
my
yeah,
god,
and I do want to note that I think for that scene, there's a brief shot of the portraits of Danton and Highsmith, and that's actually the only time you actually see them without sunglasses. So
oh, I did not know that. It's
yeah, it was
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, for sure. And also too, like I liked the scene essentially where they're racing to stop the bank transfer towards the end, and there is like a Grand Theft Auto reference because even too Wesley mentions that in the movies.
That's wild. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that was a
thought
good
yeah
bit.
that was cool. Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's pretty much it. What I have in terms of highlights. If there's anything else you want to add.
I think just highlight wise, it was just a lot of good jokes by a lot of funny people. Like every time Rob Riggle was on screen, it was funny. Every time Damon Wayans made a joke, it
Mm-hmm.
was funny. You know, Will Ferrell was
Mm-hmm.
funny. Mark Wahlberg was there. The bit about the Sam Jackson and The Rock just jumping off the building was funny. It was weird but
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was
yeah.
just a fun movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we could get into the lowlights section. So for me, I wondered, like, with the security team, why did they decide to steal Alan and Terry's shoes? That was weird.
Just to make him walk home, you know, just to nail
Yeah,
the final nail in the coffin thing. Really drive it home.
yeah, for sure. And also too, like they essentially drug them, like put them unconscious, and then they wake up where they're heading to Vegas.
Multiple times they got knocked out.
Yeah,
Unfortunate for
yeah.
them.
Yeah, for sure. I just wondered, like, okay, that's a weird choice, but I don't know.
To get rid of them, you know, New York is like on the opposite side of the country of Vegas, so they really got rid
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, for sure. And I wondered, like, with the whole Lendl Global subplot, I'm just wondering, like, with the whole thing, like, was it a scheme? Because it seemed like with Steve Coogan's character, like, owed them and a bunch of people other money. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm overthinking that part, but just wondered why.
Well, that
I
bit
don't
was a
know.
highlight for me because at the end, when they
Okay.
were like, "Yeah, Lendo's going over," but the government bailed them
Mm-hmm.
out because they're too big to fail. It's like, yeah, that's how it works, I guess, the real world sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
major banks can collapse, and normal people can be out of all their money, but the government's like, nope, we'll save you, bank. Nothing bad can happen to the rich people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's very true for sure. And I
Yeah.
wondered what yeah, and I wondered why like with Bob he decides to help the bad guys or as you put it invest money in the pension plan because I just wondered like maybe like was he, being overlooked all the time, especially when you saw the scenes like with Terry every time when Bob wants to like tell him about something. So, I just wondered,
Yeah.
why Bob did what he did.
I chalk that up to like maybe he was duped, but yeah, it felt weird on him investing on them. Maybe Terry and Alan should have listened to him and been to the vote, and they would have saw it right away. So, but yeah, why did he invest with them? Maybe just to show like
Yeah.
a regular person getting scammed by Ponzi schemes. Maybe.
Probably, but still, like there's common sense, and I don't know,
Yeah,
but
he should have done some kind of research. It felt like it was just there for the plot, I guess.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And also, too, I wondered, like with Danton and Highsmith, like did they actually decide to commit suicide, or did they actually think they would make it down to catch the bad guys? Because, like Ice T said in the movie, that shit was crazy. So
Yeah, it was. I remember
yeah,
watching the scene, and they said aim for the bushes, and the entire time I'm watching them go over, and I'm like, "Where's the bushes? You're not hitting the bushes? Where's
yeah,
the bushes? Where are the bushes here?" And they just hit the ground. I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
where were the bushes? Why did you do that?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's like I said, makes no sense. It's crazy life sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it's one of life's mysteries.
Yeah,
For sure. And I just wondered too, like with Alan and Terry, why did they had to send evidence to the SCC instead of like why not just give the case to another detective or something? But
yeah. Or like why the SEC guy didn't like immediately recluse himself because like it is a blatant conflict of interest. I get that like he killed himself in the next
yes.
scene, so he kind of did
Yeah.
really recluse himself from the the case, but like it was weird how they give it to specifically him.
Yeah. Or I don't know, or maybe just to show like there's always corruption or something. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah, you can't trust the rich people. They're always connected with powerful people, for sure.
yeah, for sure. And also too, I wondered like what's the deal like with Alan's apps? Because he has this faceback app that he mentions. I'm just wondering like why make that app? So dumb.
Yeah, it felt like, it helped out with the joke at the end of the movie, you know?
Yeah. but still, that's I don't know. I don't know about that one. Also too, like I just wondered though, like with the whole like Gator personality, I don't know what you think about that, but I just felt that was kind of off. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it
but
was very much on the line. It's like you're getting real close, Will. You're getting real close. This whole
yeah,
gator thing, like when he had the grills and the bucket hat, I'm like, you're up there. You're pushing it.
yeah, because I get that like with his character is supposed to be a nerd and that oh it's a joke that like attractive women like him more than Terry, but do we have to put Gator into this
Yeah.
mix?
Did they have to make him a pimp and everything?
Yeah. And I just wondered too, like, did his coworkers know about him as Gator? But I'm assuming probably not, but I don't know.
I found it funny how he was like, I decided to do the most stable job that I could think of, being a like a financial person for the police. Like that's the
Yeah,
most stable job.
yeah, which is yeah, it's hilarious, yeah. And he loves that calculator.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like when Gene gives him the wooden gun, Terry's like, "Oh, you should have take out the batteries from the calculator instead." That's cool. And also too, I just wonder though, like towards like the end when the whole squad shows up at the bank to stop Roger Wesley, I'm just wonder. I saw like Bob, like he's there, but he has a gun, but in handcuffs. I'm like, why?
Was he in handcuffs? I thought he was just like holding the gun like over his arm or something like that. I didn't see him in handcuffs. Okay.
I
I missed
think
that
yeah,
bit.
it was handcuffs because his hands are close together, and then he's holding a
Okay.
gun with one hand.
I thought I was just
Because
holding the gun wrong to like show his inexperience with like using a firearm.
I mean, maybe, but to me, it looked like he was wearing handcuffs.
It makes
I don't
sense because in the
know,
last scene
but
he was doing evil stuff, so like he probably did get arrested for everything and stuff like that.
yeah. And I wonder though, like, was he like holding the gun to like stop the police, or I don't know, or
Hmm.
did he just somehow have a gun then he decided to point towards Wesley? I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think my like only lowlights for the film was I'm not the biggest Mark Wahlberg fan. I think he's kind of a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, I know it's not a popular take at all. I know that he's like very beloved, but I just yeah, I feel like he was just too much. You know, he was way over the top for like what he was supposed to be doing. Like his whole thing with
okay.
Francesca, you know, like just barges in there, goes like, I love you out of nowhere, and then wins her back out of nowhere and everything. Like I didn't love his character in it. So that was like my low light. It just felt like there was nothing between him and Francesca. It was just him yelling at her a bunch, her going, "You're embarrassing me," and then at the end they get back together.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know. I think I kind of brushed past. I thought it was like okay, but it could have been worked better for me. It was probably more have to do with the writing than with the performance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because Francesca didn't get like any characterization at all. You know, like Christina got more characterization than Francesca.
Yeah, for sure. And like I didn't mind Mark Wahlberg because I found for me, I guess at least at the time when I first saw it, that like it was the first time I actually see him in a comedic role where it actually works for me because it kind of plays off like Mark Wahlberg's, I guess, persona of him being like the tough guy from Boston, and then
Yeah,
also too he shows like a sort of a different side to it, particularly like when he's with Francine or when he's trying to like show off of his, ballet skills or whatnot. So I
his
didn't mind
harping
him in
skills
this.
too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That came out of nowhere, but yeah.
Yeah, learns how to play the harp ironically. Like
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
can sympathize with
And
that though. That is very me coded for sure.
for sure. And I thought for me, like with some of the comedy scenes, they were either like that went a bit too over the top, or they kind of just went longer than it could have been. Like for example, when like the accounting office explodes, I guess like with Will Ferrell, he kind of goes on a rant like, "Oh, this is not how explosions work," and blah 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 blah. I thought like that went a
Yeah,
bit too long for me, but
that part did. Like that joke was done the second after their backs hit the ground, and then they just kept on going with it. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not how it works in
yeah,
movies. You're right, but you're in a movie, so why are you saying that? I kind of hate that stuff. You know, it's like
yeah,
trying to break the fourth wall in a weird way.
mm-hmm, for sure. Because I remember like I don't know if you used to watch like MTV like back when it was good in the 2000s when they had like the video music awards or like the movie awards. I guess it's now called movie and TV awards. Cuz I think it was the year when Andy Samberg was hosting because there was a bit they showed like oh like cool guys don't look at explosion where essentially they show a montage of explosions where either the characters they're walking away from the explosion. Essentially, they don't look at explosions at all. And then when I look at this scene, I guess they kind of poke fun of that trope where they actually look at the
Yeah,
explosion as it goes off. So,
it's interesting that like McKay picked that joke specifically to have a problem with, and he really wanted to
yeah.
poke fun at that. You know, like
Yeah.
it, that Andy Samberg bit was like living in his head rent free, 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure, probably. And I thought too, like with when Sheila's mom, when she goes back and forth to visit Alan, went a bit too long for me, but
Yeah, I think that
yeah.
rule of thirds with that thing, like you do probably like one, two, and then three, and that's it. But like they were
Yes.
like one, two, then three, and it's like that's too much. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And That's pretty much it. What I have for the lowlights section, and anything else you want to add here?
No, yeah, like it's not a lot of lowlights for me. It was just a
Yeah.
okay, funny movie. It was funnier than the average like action comedy movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then we could get into the trivia section. So here are some fun facts. I couldn't find like a too lot of this movie, but here is some that piqued my interest. So the idea of teaming up Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg apparently started like when they were at the Oscars, I believe in 2007, where apparently Will Ferrell, he had a bit where he was insulting the other actors, but then he was polite towards Mark Wahlberg. So I thought that was interesting.
Fair. I mean, I would have insulted Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg, but
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like these days he's getting a lot of flack, but,
Mark
I don't
Wahlberg?
know. Yeah, apparently, because people are bringing up his past, where like again, like I don't like to bring a lot of TMZ stuff, but essentially he, I don't know, assaulted an Asian person way back when.
That did happen. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that came up like when he was presenting award to the Everything Everywhere All at Once cast, I think for the SAG Awards or something, and
No
that came
way.
up. So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he was
I
a
don't, I
funky
don't know.
bunch back then.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't know a lot about that story, but I felt like it was worth noting. But hey,
Fair.
yeah. So this film marks 4 out of 5 collaborations between Will Ferrell and Adam McKay because they've done Anchorman, Anchorman 2, Step Brothers, Talladega Nights, and this movie. Interesting. Because I don't know, I find like it's unfortunate because apparently they had a falling out. Because I think because with Adam McKay, as you see with his later work, he wanted to go the more serious route, while with Will Ferrell wanted to continue with comedy. Because they had a production company together, Gary Sanchez Productions, which is shown at the beginning of this movie. But
And I think
yeah,
that Will
it's kind of.
Ferrell was like doing a little bit of voiceover during that bit that he doesn't usually do for other
Mm-hmm.
of their movies.
Yeah, yeah,
That
for
was
sure.
interesting.
Yeah, because I would love to see them, do something together, but it is what it is in terms of their situation. And also too, so Brooke Shields, she cameos in the movie during the scene when Alan and Terry are at the Knicks game, and she is married to the screenwriter Chris Henchy. Worth
Oh,
noting.
I didn't know that. Because I was wondering, like, what's Brooke Shields doing in here out of nowhere? Like, I get celebrity cameos and
Yeah,
everything, but Brooke
yeah.
Shields? It was funny.
Yeah, for sure. And also to another cameo, Adam McKay, the director, he cameos as Dirty Mike, where they had that bit where Dirty Mike and the boys
Oh,
would always have sex at Alan's car.
that was a wild scene. The
Oh
scene where like
yeah.
they were picking up their car and like doing the forensics on it and everything, and the guy was just detailing everything that was happening.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in Italy, this movie is called The Reserve Police, which is an interesting title.
Yeah, that doesn't really say much about it.
Yeah, maybe like because with the other guys did not translate well in Italy. I don't know, but I don't know if the reserve police is any better.
Yeah, not my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. And lastly, like during the promo tour for this movie, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, they appeared at San Diego Comic Con and at WWE Monday Night Raw.
That makes sense. Yeah, that tracks.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And lastly, like I usually ask this question, should this movie be rediscovered? So, Cleve, what do you think?
I think you can. Yeah, I wouldn't say don't watch this movie. I think it is a fun action comedy that is pretty funny. If you like Will Ferrell doing the Will Ferrell thing, then yeah, go for it. A lot of comedians making a lot of good jokes. It wasn't a bad time.
Absolutely. Like I'm right there with you. Like it's a fun action comedy and it has an all-star cast that you will recognize. And for me, it's one of my favorite Adam McKay movies. It might be the best in my opinion, or at least up there, but definitely this movie is a fun time. So please check it out. And that pretty much concludes this episode of the podcast. So, if there's anything you want to plug in, Khalif?
Keep on listening to the show. We're rediscovering great movies, and there's a lot of good movies that need to be, rediscovered and taken a second look at. You really do get another appreciation for watching a movie with new eyes and new things that you've learned over the years, for sure.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Linktree at Nomfanelo. You could find the podcast on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Linktree at RD Movies Pod. For those of you on Spotify, you could answer the featured question and the poll, and also to rate the podcast. And on Apple Podcasts, you could leave a review and rate the podcast. And you could submit questions, comments, and suggestions by email, which is rediscoveredmovies@gmail.com, or you could send a voice message on Spotify for podcasters at RD Movies Pod to be featured on the after show, which will air after the season finale. And the links to all of this stuff will be in the description. So, Khalif, is there any final notes you want to say?
Yeah, it was a good movie. I did also dig the peacock bit, and they do not fly, for sure.
Terry would disagree with you, but yes, you're correct. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. And until next time.